Hi, we're live now. So, first
Hello.
of all, we have with us Richa Shaileji, who's an experienced professional in the Silicon Partners and one of the most renowned persons when it comes to actually having the kind of experience with the people and the employee and the workspace in terms of the company. And we are glad to have you here. And first of all, I'd like to thank you personally for joining us and discussing the topic, which is essentially affecting all of us in general on the internet, on the in the lives as well when you're working as a working professional. So thank you. And so first of all, I'd like to actually discuss about the things that are happening around the internet and especially around the work life balance, how COVID has been like in terms of when we were in lockdown, and now we have went on to actually seeing that people are now coming from hybrid to now working in office. Essentially, we must have seen that companies are now going full scale on the way things were previously. So one of the things that I actually wanted to understand is like uh, these work life balance things that are happening, that discussions that are happening, and how corporates are seeing this, and how is it that it is affecting so many individuals on a personal level. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, how should corporates be going ahead with this decision?
So actually, my take, it is just becoming a buzzword, work-life balance. Everybody is talking about it. Today's news becomes tomorrow's paper hat. Today, Anna's case happened. Then somebody else posted that an HDFC employee fell dead. I don't know whether it's true or not. I just read it on LinkedIn. But what happens is that we are not trying to internalize it. It is just a buzzword. Aaj kuch ho gaya. Let's talk about it. Let's all go ahead and see what's happening. But that's not the point. We need to stop treating it as a buzzword and start trying to internalize it. It is necessary. It really is not an option. The problem is that we are normalizing the hustle culture. Independence era mein we had a slogan karo ya maro, and we thought that let's bring it to the corporate life too. That's really not okay. This is not the independence era. We're not fighting an independence battle. This is not even a battle for survival. This is just a basic common sense and decency that we are supposed to work x number of hours. Yes, we are supposed to serve the client, but again, we work to live. We don't live to work. If people choose to do that, that's their choice. But again, that should not be forced. I've seen in some top tier companies, people are being assigned work at 9 p.m. and told that they have to give it by 9 a.m. And unfortunately, there's some of my friends when we are sitting having a drink and they had said, ठीक है ना जूनियर को पकड़ा देते हैं. That is the problem. Junior को पकड़ा देते हैं is not the point. They also have a life. So, any companies that would care to listen, I would say that this stupid lack of balance, it is not just affecting people. It's not just people's mental health. It's not just people's family. Families do get sacrificed, and some people like Anna just tip over and take extreme measures. But for the companies, it's also affecting your productivity, guys. When one person leaves, if somebody is absolutely disgusted with you and that person leaves, you will have to hire another person. You leave 3 months of training cost. You hire a new person, spend money hiring them, then spend money training them, then you again try to tip them over the edge, and then they leave. It's a productivity loss. It is not just a problem for the employees, it's also a problem for the employer. That is what we all need to understand and just internalize it.
Yeah, essentially, not normalizing it obviously is one of the things that as a
Absolutely.
person managing someone is their responsibility to make sure that they are nurturing the right talent and making sure it's a comfortable environment for them as well, right?
Yeah, so
Insightful
why do you
approach,
want people to leave? उससे आपका नुकसान है, फायदा नहीं है.
right? It spends again time, effort, energy, all that is wasted because you went too
Absolutely.
hard on.
Yeah, and you
Thank,
just feel that I have the power, so I can do that to people. Being a manager is not a power, it is a huge responsibility, and that is what we don't understand. And that is why people like me keep screaming that being manager is a very big responsibility, guys. It is really, really not a lottery.
yeah, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility.
It does.
Yeah. And so let's assume that even if we all discuss about these things and we are still finding that someone is in a place or in an environment which is again not really that comfortable for them, and it is again quote unquote toxic for them. So how do you think that not everyone has that kind of privilege or the kind of comfort to leave a job? So what should be the person doing in such cases?
So, look, toxicity, first of all, I don't understand this word toxicity too much. And I think most people don't. LinkedIn influencers lick dete and we start reacting to that, quit toxic environments. And you very rightly pointed out, not everybody can leave a toxic environment if it is. आज तो आप टॉक्सिसिटी से मर जाओगे, कल भूख से मर जाओगे. That some influencer posts that, okay, quit a toxic environment today. Okay, what do you do when you quit a toxic environment? Where do you eat? Where do you pay your bill? Light to tab jal raha hai that if you have the money, if you're getting your salary, you're paying those bills. Now what? If you can't quit today, I would say that you can't change the environment, but how you react is up to it. So it is, sorry, it is up to you completely. Your reaction is up to you. That is in your hand. You don't control what is outside your circle of influence. So when
Right.
people come to me and ping me that how do I deal with it? So I have a very few simple tips that, okay, if it is a toxic environment, you don't quit today because you need to survive. What you can do is set boundaries like a pro. Toxic workplaces thrive on overstepping limits. Try to say no. Say no when necessary. Set boundaries, protect your time and energy, and it is complete okay. It is not selfish, it is self preservation. It really isn't selfish. Then master the art of detachment. That's my second tip to people.
Yeah.
Create a mental barrier between what is happening and you personally. Suppose if you are swearing at me, if you are shouting at me 12 hours a day, I do not need to take it personally. You are not shouting at Richa. You are shouting at that person who's sitting in the chair. It is, it sounds very funny, but when you really try think about it, it is easier once you get into that habit. Okay, okay, you are shouting, that is fine. He's not shouting at me. I will not take this about, I will not take this personally, and I will draw that boundary that just go ahead. It will not affect me because it is not targeted at me, it is targeted at that chair. Then the third thing that I have also used sometimes, find your own tribe. Not all people are toxic. It is not that if it's a 500 people company, all 500 people are toxic. It is not that. It is certain people, it is a certain sect of people, who create that atmosphere. Find people who are positive. Find colleagues who think like you. Stick with them. It helps increase the positivity of the situation. Another thing I also posted on LinkedIn today, document everything. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. Before somebody tells you tomorrow, you didn't do it, I told you to do it, and you did not send me the file. If you sent it over a WhatsApp or you just, forward it in some other media and you did not have documented it over an official channel, the person can just get back to you that kiya nahi. Just document whatever is being said. If you are assigned a task, say that I have been assigned ABC, I would be delivering ABC by this timeline, and reply on that very mail. Start documenting on the relevant threads. Very, very important. Because otherwise, you will just become a punching bag. It really won't work. Then, as cliched as it sound, please prioritize self care. Make time outside of work for you. If it is bad, when you step out of office, when you close the laptop, that life is yours. That time is yours. Have something that you look forward to. For some people, it can be listening to a bhajan. For some people, it can be smoking up or down or whatever. I don't advocate smoking, but again, if it works for you, whatever works for you, just find time for yourself. Start prioritizing yourself. And don't forget to start learning. Because you say, I want to quit. How do you want to quit if you're not updated with the latest technologies? If you're not updated with what is latest, what is happening in your field? If you don't even know how to put a chat GPT prompt, how do you expect to be a recruiter because you don't know how to create a job profile today? So you will have to learn and stay updated and know when to ask for help. You reach out to HR, They will help. And I wish that people have a stronger HR team who are not mandated by the management, who are very, very independent and there for the people, not for the management. मैक्सिमम लोग मुझे गाली देंगे दैट एचआर तो सिर्फ मैनेजमेंट की सुनता है बट अगेन स्ट्रॉन्ग एचआर पीपल आर देयर फॉर द पीपल हु सिट ऑन द फ्लोर. So trust, reach
Mhm.
out to anybody, be it HR, be it your manager, be it your manager's manager, whoever you feel that can lend help. So just remember the next move is in your hands, not in the hands of the so-called toxic culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you actually, I would also like to stress more upon is understanding your expectations as well. Like you said, you
Absolutely.
should document on the right thread, right? So essentially, if you are working in an environment and your manager expects a certain way of communication, I would suggest ask them proactively, like connect with them on a one-to-one meeting, and probably ask them like, what are your preferred mechanisms of communication? What are your expectations from me? What are the responsibilities that I'm supposed to do, and you kind of consider me to be a part of, right? What are my KPIs from this role? So these are the things, if you discuss it proactively, you kind of make it easier for them as well, wherein your manager is clear about what are your expectations from the role, and you are also aware of those things. Sometimes it happens that there is a gap between those two things, and that's where the frustration comes in from the managers
Very
and the people.
often. Very often. And again, you understand your KPIs, documented. This is my understanding. This is what I understand. This is what I'm expected to do. If you don't document it, somebody might say, I said X, you understood B.
Yeah,
So
that's
don't
again
leave that gap.
and one of the things that I actually wanted to also stress a lot more about, which you said, touched upon, is about setting up boundaries, wherein, because in terms of, in our culture especially, we find it difficult to talk to someone who's senior and clearly
True,
express
true.
ourselves and say that, hey, this is what I am capable of, this is something which I'm not really comfortable with. We are often accustomed to that kind of working, right, wherein somebody who's senior who said is something, then they should actually be coming ahead and going ahead with the rules that are there, and they should not be essentially going ahead to overstepping it. Like that's kind of a norm there. One other thing that actually also wanted to touch upon is regarding, you mentioned about social media influencers going ahead and doing this kind of commentary about how toxic the work culture is and everything. So is it something which has happened recently, or is it something which has been happening for a long time, but again, because of social media, it is more visible now?
It has always been there. It's
Uh-huh.
not something which is recent. Due to
Mhm.
social media, yes, it is more visible. And it has it increased? Yes, it has. Why has it increased? Because of the very simple fact that we are a growing population, we are a growing nation. Our population is increasing multifold and everything is directly proportional. You see, a higher population means higher competition. A higher competition means higher pressure. And everybody wants to prove a point to their manager because increment sabko chahiye. That you would say that, okay, you could do it in 4 hours, I could do it in three. And I would get it done from my team in 2 hours and bill 10 hours to the customer. So
Mhm.
I'm like right there. But has it been there from the start? It has been there, believe me. I
Mhm.
would there's a very very old thing, and I remember one of the companies I worked for early on in my career, and zip, no names, but
Mhm. Of course.
they got me sitting sometimes. I was very very young. I was just a recently qualified chartered accountant, and it was very young in my career, nascent. And even if I was sitting idle till 5:30, quarter to 6, as soon as the clock struck 6 and my manager knew that I had to leave, the person would look at like that with the clock and then at me and, रिचा ये अभी करना है, ये मुझे अगले 2 घंटे में चाहिए. And वो काम 4 घंटे का था. So you
Mhm.
would sit in the office till 10 p.m., finish off that work, which could have been assigned to you at 10 a.m. because the mail came to him at 9:30. But
Mhm.
people just behave like that. And at that point of time, there was no cab culture. There was no, you just couldn't hail an
Mhm.
Uber.
Right.
Either you had the money to take an auto or a private cab, or you would sit on the bus stand. In the age of social media, what would you do? You would sit on the bus stand and then you would be picture later, my manager harassed me, I'm sitting for the bus, or I have hailed a cab, and you would be like so dead, you would face palm yourself, and I'm so dead, and you would be again posting on LinkedIn and possibly some people on Insta that
Mm-hmm.
I'm so dead. So has social media increased the visibility? Yes. But has it been there? It has always been there, really.
Mm-hmm. So is there something
Not,
that we can do as an individual?
sorry, I missed that.
If there is something that we can do as an individual in this case, because it again becomes a manager thing, wherein even if you had that kind of information which could have been assigned, like you said, on 10 a.m., it's again assigned at the very last hour. So is there something that we can do, or probably is it something that is avoidable from a perspective of an individual?
Sometimes, as I said, set boundaries. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you have to be somewhere at, for example, 7:30, try taking a midway. There is nothing which is written in black and white. There is nothing right or wrong. Say you are assigned work at 5:30 and you have to leave by 6:30, and you have to be somewhere by 7:30. You can very categorically say that I am sure that this is urgent. Can I please deliver it at 9:30 tomorrow or 11:30 tomorrow? Because I can do what I can in the next 1 hour, and I have to be somewhere which I cannot avoid.
Mm-hmm.
You would be shouted at once, you would be shouted at twice, but the third
Mm-hmm.
time the person is also going to know that you have set your boundaries, you are saying no. People thrive on the fact that everybody is going to say yes sir, because we have been programmed to do that yes sir.
Yep.
So as soon as people realize that you are setting boundaries, you are trying to say no, you are trying to push away, and you are trying to deliver the next day at the earliest possible opportunity, people start behaving sooner or
Mm-hmm.
later. It might not be an easy transition, but again, if you say keep saying yes sir, you are going to bend so much that you're just going to become a doormat.
Mm-hmm.
So I say
Absolutely.
bend over, but don't bend over to the extent that people walk all over you.
All right. So very important point to note down is again setting up clear boundaries, and it is going to be difficult thing to do, but then it is
Yes,
again
it
a
is.
thing that can be achieved over a period of time. One other thing that I actually wanted to discuss about the definition of work-life balance, right? Essentially, it could be different for different people. So, what is it according to you, and how do you think one can achieve it?
For me, work life balance is not a 50-50 split, to be honest. That I have to work from 9 to 6, and from 6 onwards, it is my time. For me, it is the vibe that, okay, does it match? Maybe there is a client deliverable, maybe somebody's breathing down my neck, I'm working 14 hours that day. But there are other times that even the organization I work for, it is a SAP consulting organization. We work on AI, ML, and we bring the cloud together. The client is sometimes like abhi chahiye is samay dena hai. The whole team is working like for a week like crazy. We're not taking breaks. We are in office till 5 a.m., 5 p.m., then we are on calls again starting 7:38. But at the same time, if we don't feel like working, and if there is a lighter work, you want to walk out at 4 p.m., it's completely fine. Just drop a text to your manager that I'm here if I anything needs me urgently, and just walk off. So it's not about that split. It is about owning your time. It is about owning your freedom. It's about being able to do what you really want to do. People feel that if I'm free after 6, that's work life balance. That's not. Some days you might need to be free at 2 p.m. You might have a doctor's visit, or it's simple. It might be a girlfriend's birthday. You just want to take her out, and it should be okay for you to tell your manager that I have my girlfriend's birthday, I'm taking her out, we are out on a date, and if there is something which is needed, I would do it by afternoon or pre-lunch, and I would walk out. That is work life balance. So,
Absolutely.
and when you people ask me that, do you think it's achievable, my answer always is like 100%, because balance doesn't mean perfect. Some weeks are busier, some are not. It is just about ownership. And it's not about equal work and life every day. It's about being able to switch gears whenever you want to. And when you hit that sweet spot, it is beautiful. That's
Absolutely.
my definition.
I guess quite to an example like here could be that we all saw that CrowdStrike event which happened with the Microsoft environment, right? And in that case, a lot of people were working day in out to actually resolve that issue at the very earliest, because it was affecting the whole kind of an environment, which is again went ahead with Microsoft, and again affects
Absolutely.
flights and everything, banking softwares, everything. So on that day, you can't really expect people to be saying, "Hey, I'm going out at 6, and I'm not really available after this time." So
Exactly.
it's
The whole
difficult.
Microsoft is down, and you would like, "Mera to 6 baje kaam ho gaya. I really need to leave." And if I work at 7 and there's no work-life balance, people are pressurizing me and overloading me. This is drama.
Mhm. This is again, it again affects the kind of business that you're working for. Then it becomes a challenge that you're not available at the worst time possible, and then you kind of make it difficult for the manager as well. So someone who's actually working with you, they kind of expect a kind of accountability, which is what we say, that you are accountable for the work that you do. You take it with full responsibility and deliver it with time. And then if there are some issues,
Absolutely.
you find it time to actually resolve those things, that especially in such cases, such extreme cases. And we have seen that with the different companies in India as well. Like, you must have seen that photo where, in case of a New Year's Eve, you see Zomato employees being in office, making sure that everything is
Absolutely.
working.
See, it is
So
also New Year's Eve for them. It is also Diwali for them. But again,
yeah,
it is the kind of business, and we go in with our eyes open. It's not that somebody didn't tell us.
yeah. So these are the kind of things that you will expect in a work environment. But then again, as you said, that there should be a balance between those things. If you are supposed to work at midnight on a New Year's Eve, then there should be a sufficient gap between, if I'm supposed to leave at 2 for some reason, it could be any reason, or it could not be a reason at all, just not feeling today. Then that kind of thing
Absolutely.
should be available. Yeah. I guess these are the things that it comes with time. With as an individual, you kind of start to get there once you are someone who's respected in your work as well, and you show accountability. Like, if someone who's available at the worst time, then they are also supported at their worst times as well.
That
So
is true.
I guess,
And that is what being a manager is all about. And it takes time. You're very right there. It takes time. It takes some maturity.
right. And I mean, one other thing that I actually want to discuss here is about the size of companies. Like, in case of a startup like Zomato, let's say if there are 10 people available for the same task, some of us will get a responsibility of being available on that day. And again, it could be a rotational thing which can be done over a period of time. Let's say last time you were available, this time somebody else will be available. And there are some things which are again not really possible in case of a small size company. So do you think these are the skills that, again, from an individual working at a startup or a big company, are these things which are possible to manage from an individual or a management? Is that something, or is there something which is doable at any given scale?
So scale matters. But again, it depends upon what is it that you want to do. I
Mhm.
always say that it is not where you work, it is how you work. So, for example, startups, they are like boot camps. You wear a lot of hat, and that means that you will learn fast. It is like a crash course in problem solving, adaptability. Sorry. So, I lost my thought. Happens in old age.
No
So
worries.
it is a lot of problem solving, adaptability, owning your work from the start to finish. You're usually working in smaller teams, you get more visibility, and you can really dive deep into different areas. It is like really fast paced, often unpredictable, and you become that what do you call that thing with many attachments? A Victorinox, a Swiss Army knife of the corporate world. But
Right.
in the larger scaled organizations, in MNCs and larger organizations, you have the chance to specialize. MNCs give you a chance to navigate complex environments, which in itself is a skill. They have structure, they have processes, they have resources, they have global teams. You understand how the global culture works, how the other part of the world works. So everything has a different positive. Everything tells you very different things, it teaches you very different things. It just depends upon what is it that you want, how is it that you want to progress, and bottom line, it's not the size of the company, how you use your experience to level up. So at both places you learn.
Definitely. And again, like you said, working at a startup is also like being part of everything. So it's a more, you get to learn more in terms of a generic skills, like you become someone who's well versed with a lot of things. But then again, working at a big company like FANG level companies, they give you a thought and give you time to actually be a specialist in something. So these are again, and both, when I'm saying this, both are equally important. When you're working in a startup, you sometimes companies need kind of people who are very good at being good at a lot of things. Then there are
Yeah,
companies who are actually needing that kind of people who's a specialist in something. So there's no such thing as one part is good or the another part is good. So when you're choosing companies,
absolutely. And I've seen so many people just want to, you want to switch because it's a bigger brand. A bigger brand, if it's not giving you specialization, you would just be lost in a sea of humanity and you would just become an employee number. Where in a smaller organization, you are cared for. Like we're about 200, 250 people, we know each person personally. We know who works out of where and whose family has a dog or whose family has a cat. So you really have to find the middle path.
all right. And when it comes to again feeling that kind of place wherein I'm not really feeling well, or how I'm feeling burnt out. So one of the things that I actually want to understand is, if someone is feeling like that, so how is it that they can unroll themselves, de-stress themselves out, and what are general activities that you'd recommend that or probably you follow, which makes you feel good about yourself, not feeling burnt out over a period of time, because that can happen when you're working hard a lot.
Oh, burnout can happen when you're working or you're working out at both times.
Yeah.
And when you really, really push yourself so hard, burnout happens, sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly. For me, my go-to strategy is I just unplug and binge. That my best thing to do is literally doing nothing. I
Mhm.
grab some snacks, pick a series where I kind of lose track on time, which is absolutely, you really don't have to apply your mind to it. So you want to just go to Netflix and not watch a documentary, something very silly. Like, for example, sometime back, I was just watching Emily in Paris. Why? Because it did not ask me to apply any brains. I could just switch off. And for me, the most important thing is not letting myself feel guilty of the productive thoughts that I am not doing anything, I am wasting time, I am taking 4 hours where I could have accomplished so much. It is a brain of entertainment, and that has always worked for me. And if I'm
Right.
not physically very drained, a good workout can do wonders. For some people, it can be a walk in the park, walking their dog, it can be a good yoga session. For me, it is working out, that you go to the gym and you really sweat it out and you feel better about yourself. And
It
if
kind
you
of
have a slight bit of time, yeah, you were saying
Mhm.
something.
No, no, please continue.
Yeah, just take a weekend break, because in my office also I've seen people talking about that we will take a break when there is a long weekend, we will go out for 5 days. Guys, that's not required. Sometimes just going to a cafe, working out from there, meeting new people, seeing newer faces, talking to people who have a very different perspective, people you don't know, it really, really detoxes. And for some people, tech detox helps, because you are continuously on social media. You are chasing, if you're posting on Insta, you're just checking that what is the kind of traction you're getting. If you're posting a LinkedIn post, how many likes, how many reposts, what kind of engagement I'm getting. And even if you're switching off you from work, you are really not switching off from that thing, that what engagement I'm getting, you still into that. So a digital detox is very, very important. And when I talk about others, I would just say that please listen to your body. Burnout happens when you ignore the signs. Don't wait till you are running on fumes.
Mhm.
Schedule a down time before you crash. And don't feel guilty. Break isn't laziness, it is necessary. You would be 10x more productive than you get recharged. Find your reset button. As I said, that it can be exercising, it can be walking, it can be anything. Just find your reset button, and don't feel guilty that you are not that you are wasting time. If you take a weekend break, if you take 2 days for yourself, आपका बिलियनर बनने का चांस नहीं चला जाएगा. So stop
Mhm.
feeling guilty about it. Burnout is real, but so is recovery. The key is to own your time and to recharge.
Absolutely. Golden words actually to be said, that both things are real and both are possible. So take your time to invest in yourself in terms of both mental peace as well. So one, now moving on to the last segment, of course we are stretching a little bit of your more time. uh, One of the things that you would recommend in terms of getting resume shortlisted, now we're going ahead for the viewers who are actually looking for jobs, who are job seekers. So what are the things that you'd suggest that in this day, like in 2024, what is it that they should do in terms of putting creating a resume, that they can make sure that their resumes are better looking and shortlisted better in terms of the competition?
That is one thing that I speak about so often that it feels that I know this by heart. That please, guys, whoever is listening to me, ensure that your resume does more than just exist. There are smart hacks to make sure your resume dust is not in the digital trash, which really, really happens. First, what do you remember it? Tailor it. So I've seen people apply for, say, HR and admin. For both HR and admin, they send the same resume. Tailor it. If you're applying for HR, say HR. If you're applying for admin, say administration. Everything, one size does not fit all, especially not in a resume. It's more like dating, that you have to show them why are you the perfect match. They really need to
Mhm.
know that. And don't launch into a Sholay kind of a movie. Skip those boring intros. Make your summary pop. Show in 2 to 3 sentences. Show what you bring to the table. Why is it that you need to be hired? Then remember about the keywords. A lot of people and a lot of companies, rather, most companies today use ATS to filter resumes. Mirror the job description in the resumes, but don't copy paste. When the ATS filters your resume and the resume passes through the system and a human being is looking at it, it really needs to look legit. Some
Mhm.
resumes which have crossed my desk are just full of keywords as if they were the 10 keywords and people just had to put it in and they somehow made a sentence. You
Mhm.
have chat GPT. Put those keywords and ask them to make a sentence that would be legible to a normal human being. Extremely important. Then, fourth, quantify your achievements. People say, lead a team of 10 people. I led a team of 10 people. And my question is, you were leading a team of 10 people. And what the hell were you doing leading that team? So, say, I led a team of 10 people with an increase in the profit efficiency by 25% or reducing the retention by 17%. Talk numbers. Help the hiring managers understand the kind of impact that you want to make or you have made, and because you have done it, you have the capability and the potential to do it in future. Extremely important those numbers are, guys. And one more thing, please make it clean. A fancy, colorful, every color in the rainbow, putting it on your resume is not cool unless and until you are a graphic designer or you really want to showcase your color matching abilities or your color palette. Stick to a professional font. Make sure it's scannable. Recruiters would spend what? 4, 5, 10 seconds scanning your resume. Make those seconds count. It really does not make sense that you're putting all colors somehow there. Then add a digital profile too. It's 2024. Your resume isn't the only thing that speaks for you. One person applied for a job. It's a very real and a recent example. And she said that she's working for X company. On her LinkedIn, there were posts about a Y company that she
Mhm.
was working there, which she had not mentioned in her resume. So, your digital profile is also a part of your resume. Please remember that. Apart from that, focus on the tasks. Don't focus on the task, focus on the impact that you say that I have done. As I told you, that talk numbers. When you say that this was my task, okay, and what did you accomplish with those tasks? That is what is important. Please remember
Absolutely.
that. And before we get off that one, networking is still live, it works. Please know that. Even with the best resume, having a connection inside the company increases your chances. Don't just rely on the resumes, reach out, connect with people, get that inside edge because it's 2024. Your resume is more than the document, it's your first impression. Tailor it. And your resume should scream, I am the one that you are looking at. So if you need help, on LinkedIn, I'm available at with the name Richa Shailesh. Reach out to me, just DM me. People like us who have been in the HR field for a long, long time, we can tell you how is it that you tailor your resume, and we are there to help.
Absolutely. I mean, help can be found if you are really looking for, and reach
Absolutely.
out to people and reach out to her. Like she said, she can help a lot in terms of, the career expertise. Like you've been one of the things that I lastly wanted to discuss about, that you've been working since 1995. So how is it that the job landscape has been? You've been through two recessions now, probably, if I'm
Yes.
not wrong.
Are you
So
calling me old? If you are, I will take that too.
I'll call you an expert in this field. So, one thing that we wanted to actually understand from you, like, what is it like in terms of how the job scenario has changed, and what is it that we should be doing now? Of course, you've given a lot of detail into how we should create resumes, how we should set boundaries in terms of working, but then again, how hiring has been changing over the years. So, we would also want to know some insight about that.
As you very rightly put, that we have seen two recessions. The life and hiring has gone from 0 to 180. It has had a needle change, but believe me, it's been a very, very exciting journey. It has been extremely exciting to watch and be a part of that evolution. At one point of time, the resumes were just paper, and you used to physically hand it over to go and physically hand it over to people who used to advertise in the newspapers. And you might laugh today, but if you really wanted to make an impression, you really didn't have a fancy resume. You used good quality paper,
Mhm.
because that gave you the edge that this person is like really nice and really serious. At that point, interviews were mostly face to face, and networking was all about who you knew in person, not how many LinkedIn connections you have or how many testimonials you have. Also, companies were more focused on long term hires and people who stick around for decades, people who they could mold on their own. Fast forward to today, it is like stepping into a completely new world. Resumes have gone digital, hiring has become all about speed and efficiency. You have got the ATS, which is filtering resumes and it's looking at what a human couldn't even see. And the keywords are the king. Not to mention, video interviews and virtual hiring process have become the norm. Now it is global thanks to LinkedIn, and you can connect with somebody halfway across the world in just seconds. So remember, the focus has shifted to from who will stay for 20 years to who can deliver results quickly and adapt to a very, very constant change. That is what has changed. Back then, it was about just experience and loyalty. Today, companies are looking for skills, for adaptability, for a culture fit. It's not about who you know anymore, but how fast you can learn, how fast you can evolve with the time, how fast you can change. So the hiring process has gone from a very slow, relationship driven process to a very fast, tech heavy, skills first, adaptable process. So if you are not tech heavy, if you're not learning the latest technology, if you don't if the recruiter doesn't feel that you would be able to change with the times, which are like really, really running at a fast pace, and your skills are kind of rusty, things won't work for you. So life has changed, time has changed, we all need to adapt. It has been
Absolutely.
quite difficult, but yeah, we all have adapted. At one point, we used to see the paper. Today, we are as good with the ATS. Today, we are as good with all the latest technologies.
Absolutely. So I guess the only thing constant is the change, and we all should be flexible enough to change with time. So first,
As
and to
cliche as
conclude,
it is true.
yeah, yeah. And thank you again. Concluding the session, thank you, Richa ji, for joining us, and to all the viewers who have been watching this. I hope it was useful to you. And follow Richa ji on LinkedIn. Follow our social media handles if you like such sessions, and be connected with us in the future as well. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.